Hello everyone. On World Environment Day, I have made an effort to present a kamishibai on an inspiring eco tale. Hope you like it. Here goes the story. The story is about the forest man of India, Jadav Payeng. Mokashi, Mokashi. Once upon a time, in a beautiful village, there lived a boy who loved nature. The village was near the huge Brahmaputra river in India. The boy loved the river, the boy loved his island, and he loved everything that is natural around him. He belonged to the missing tribe, and his tribesmen were hard-working people. The boy's father earned a living by selling milk. They had a huge herd of cows and buffaloes. Everything was so beautiful in that place, but each monsoon brought havoc to that place. The river would swell up and it will flood the villages. The houses will get submerged in water. The cattle will be swept away and the life and property will be destroyed. Perennial trees will be uprooted, and most importantly, the soil gets eroded. The tree covered part of the land would get swallowed up by the flooded river, and the island got shrunk day by day, and the lands got barren day by day. But after each flood, the hardworking people will try their level best to restore the place as it was before. But the barren lands increased day by day. In the year 1979, the flood was in its full fury. There was massive destruction. There was a huge loss of life and property. Soon after that flood water has receded, the boy went out looking for his cattle. But what he saw was unbelievable. In one of the sandbars, he saw hundreds of snakes lay dead. He couldn't believe his eyes and he sat down, heartbroken. He wondered what could have happened. Actually, it had so happened when the river was in full flood. Along with the debris, it had brought all these snakes from the top mountains and had dumped them on one of the sandbars. And after the flood, there had been 12 continuous days of scorching heat. It was very hot during that time, and without any shelter and shade and food, the animals have all scorched to death. He thought, if animals could wither away without any shade and shelter, without trees, what would happen to human beings? He told about his concern to the village elders. They heard him and they told him that he was right, and the only way to save the animals is to create a new house for them. But how to create new house for them? And then they said that he should plant lot of trees. If there would be trees, the animals could thrive there properly. But then many people say, no, you cannot grow any trees in a barren land. In this barren land, no trees could ever be grown. And some said, yes, perhaps bamboos can survive. Perhaps bamboo could grow in those barren lands. and someone gave him 25 saplings of bamboos and some bamboo tree seeds. So the very next day, the boy determined canoed the muddy river and selected a nearby sandbar where he could grow these plants. He went there and he started planting the saplings. 1 shaft, 2 shaft, 3 shaft, and then he planted all the bamboo saplings and sowed the seeds also. And every day his morning ritual would be to wake up early in the morning. He would wake up at 4 o'clock, then he will cycle to the river bank. From the river bank, he will cross the river in the canoe and reach the sandbar. And there he will water the plants every day. He will tend the plants very carefully. And it was very difficult for him, for he would lug heavy buckets of water. His hands would pain, his back would hurt, but still then he wouldn't give up. He tended the plants very nicely and they started growing. Then he made a water system also, which would be easier for him. He placed earthen pots on the stick racks and made perforation at the bottom of the pots so that when he would fill the pots with water, water would trickle down slowly and the plants would get water for 3-4 days without him putting more water into it. For smaller saplings, he did that. And soon his plants, his saplings grew to a big thicket of bamboo trees. And he was very happy with his success. He was so happy that after all his hard work has paid. But he wanted to grow other kinds of trees as well. But the sandy soil was not right for other trees. So what he would do, he got some earthworms, some termites, some red ants and cow dung and wanted to try his level best to make the land fertile. He dug holes and put the earthworms there. He dug another hole for the termites, then for the ants, and by putting the cow dung, manure and all these insects and worms, the land became fertile. And soon he started planting more and more of different kinds of plants. And he planted every day, and this continued for years, not 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, but 10 years, 20 years and 30 years. By now the boy has grown big. He has grown to a man. As his forest grew, so did the boy. And his forest was filled with different kinds of trees. Name any tree and it was there in his forest. The banyan tree, the plum tree, the jackfruit tree, the sesame, the gulmohar, the acacia and any kind of trees was there. It was all there. And not only that, trees, he had medicinal herbs in his forest as well. And his trees were filled with varieties, different species of trees, even the endangered ones. And the man was very much contented and he continued planting trees. And soon wildlife arrived in his forest and his forest teemed with wildlife. Elephants, the deer, the migratory birds, the monkeys, the bisons, the buffaloes, each and so many different kinds of animals were there in his forest. The elephants would often stray away to the nearby villages to feast on crops. And then he decided to plant more fruiting tree in his village, in the forest. That is the mango trees, the banana trees, and so the elephants did not go to the villages anymore. And then came the aquatic animals, the one-horned rhino, the other aquatic birds. They also enjoyed his forest. They lived very comfortably in his forest. And then came the Royal Bengal tiger. And now not many were happy because they said that this tiger, once it goes to the village, it will take away their cattle and even it might turn man-eater. So they forced him to cut down the forest. He said he would never do that. He would never cut down the forest. Rather, he planted many grasses, the tall grasses, the short grasses, to attract smaller animals like rabbits, the smaller pigs, and the turkeys and the deer, so that the tiger can feast on them. And so did he. And then the tiger was also contented in his forest. And when people harvested trees to build houses, the man would immediately plant some more trees in that place to compensate for the loss. And this way the man went on planting trees, pruning and protecting his forest. He did all this all by himself, and in more than 30 years he had grown a forest in the 1300 acres of land which were barren. He had grown a forest all by himself. And he was discovered only in the year 2008 when a wildlife photographer and journalist saw his forest and was amazed to see such a beautiful forest, whereas it was not there long ago. And he got to know his story, and his story became famous worldwide. And many universities called him to give a talk on his achievement. The Jawaharlal Nehru University in India conferred him the title the Forest Man of India. And he was awarded the highest civilian award, one of the highest civilian awards, that is Padma Shri, by the President of India. And his story has become the curriculum in many schools in different parts of the world. And Jadav Payeng still continues to plant trees in his forest and making it bigger and bigger, and trying to make other islands also greener. And he tries really hard to stop the poachers from entering his forest, who would otherwise come to kill the animals for their horns and their fur and hide. And this way, this man continues to plant, prune, and protect his forest. This is the story of Jadav Payeng, and his forest name is given Molai Forest after his name, Jadav Molai Payeng. And this is the story of Jadav Payeng, the forest man of India. The end of my story. Thank you so much.